the morning show on 1500 WGHT. Dum doobie dum whoa, doobie doobie dum doobie dum whoa, doobie doobie dum whoa. Tonight I fell in love.
North Jersey, 1500 WGHT. You hear it in the background. Richard Nader's 27th annual Summer Doo-Wop Concert Reunion coming this Sunday, June 5th at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Performing at that performance, a multi-talented Mr. Jay Siegel. 5 decades of just everything from music to producing and bringing us these great tunes. Joins Jimmy Howes and myself, Greta Latona, right here on the morning show on WGHT Radio. Good morning, sir, and it is a privilege.
Good morning, Greta. 5 decades?
5 decades.
I'm still 22 years old, so that's the way I feel when we're up there, because I don't know, it brings back these old memories when we were really into the music industry and making records and making people happy. But 50 years, wow.
I've seen you live quite a number of times. The song we were just playing, Tonight I Fell in Love.
Yeah.
That song from March 1961, you came out of the blocks with a number 15 Billboard hit. Was there a lot of work and a lot of building before you finally had that hit record, or did you just start out big?
Oh, no. There's always a lot of stuff that goes before that. But, yeah, that was the first song that we wrote that became a national hit. And, of course, in a lot of areas in the Northeast especially, it was a number 1 record. And before that, we started the group when I was in high school in Brooklyn, New York, in Lincoln High School, and the kid that started the group with me was Neil Sedaka. The kid did okay.
He did all right for himself.
He did okay, yeah. And we had that's where the Token started, and we had a couple of records out with Sedaka as the original Tokens, and then. From that, we formed a different group called, when Neil left, we formed a group called Daryl and the Oxfords. I was Daryl for some reason, I don't know. We had a manager that said, that sounds like a good name for you, so we were like kids. We said, okay. So we had a record called Picture My Wallet, which is, a regional hit. And then we were knocking around, and then we finally came up with Tonight I Fell in Love. We made the demo in the city for about $300. And we peddled it around, and Warwick Records picked it up, and it became our first big hit record. Yeah.
Jay, was it the Brill Building that you guys bounced around in your early days?
No, absolutely not. Now,
where was it?
Big most people. The Brill Building, for some reason, has a great PR department, because most of the big writers didn't come out of the Brill Building. They came out of a building which was about 2 blocks away. It was 1650 Broadway.
Really?
And that was the building that housed Don Kirshner and all the writers like Carole King and Jerry Goffin and Neil Sedaka and David Gates and Neil Diamond. Those are all the writers and all the music that came out of 1650 Broadway, which was really one of the major buildings that housed everybody in the music industry. The Brill Building had Lieber and Stoller.
Okay.
So that made, and they had all the old time publishers from Tin Pan Alley from the 20s and the 30s. But we were in part of that 1650 Broadway. Don Kirshner, Carole King, Jerry Goffin. Those people, they were not too bad to hang out with.
Are you still an East Coast guy, Jay? Still a New York City guy?
I'm still up in Rockland County, New York. I've been up here for over 40 years, and I didn't make the move down. I never became a snowbird or a snowflake or a snowstorm. You know what they say, Florida's the last stop, so I'm not ready yet. It's the last stop. I'm still up here. We're still working a lot. We're still doing 50 or 60 concerts a year, and this one for Nader at the NJ PAC is going to be one of the best they've ever had. The lineup is terrific, and what a beautiful venue. We've worked there, one time before. It reminds me of like the Lincoln Center venue in New York City. It's just a beautiful place, and it's going to be a great show, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Hey, I wanted to give you the opportunity. We're with Jay Siegel from the Tokens, one of the most famous singers ever out of the 60s. Can you give us some kind and some good memories of your wonderful friend Jay Traynor? What does that bring to you memory-wise?
One of my closest friends, of course, I don't know if people are listening that know that he passed away about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Jay Traynor was the original Jay of Jay and the Americans. Most people think it was Jay Black. That was the original Jay of Jay and the Americans, but in fact it was Jay Traynor who made their first major hit record, She Cried. And Jay Traynor was with us for about 8 years, actually, as part of my group. And he was a great friend, one of the most humble guys. You would never know that he had that success, that he started the career of Jay and the Americans. And he was a fantastic addition to our group. What a great voice. And when we did She Cried in the middle of our show, we used to get a standing ovation in the middle of the show. That's how terrific he was, and what a great person. And I really miss him. I really
Isn't that amazing? Your friendship with Jay, you could tell you guys were really tight. And
we were. When he sang that song, it's funny. We had a lot of records that hit records of our own that we would perform, live. But one of my favorite things to do, in our show was She Cried. I just loved watching him sing that song and how great he sounded, and I loved being part of the background. It was just a pleasure to work with him. A pleasure.
It says a lot about you to stop you being the center of attention and passing the baton to somebody else on stage. It says a lot about yourself and what a class act you are.
Well, it gives me a break.
Yeah, that's true.
I can get a rest on stage, and no, why? I would never attempt to sing a song like that. I said, well, Jay, he would sing a few songs. He did a few lead vocals in our show because I said, Jay, you could do this song better than I can, so you do it, and I'll be in the background. And I think the variety of that on stage, showing that each one of us have something to offer. It's not just me and everybody else in the background. It's all of us up there, and it's a group situation, and we all have a great time.
Jay, Greta here. The Tokens, they were the first vocal group to not only sing, but they went into production as well. And you got the first $1 million seller for another group.
Yeah, you did your homework. You read up on me. When we had Tonight I Fell in Love, we thought, well, maybe this is going to be like one of those one-hit wonder situations. Maybe we'll never have another hit record, but we love being involved in the music and the business, so we really learned about the music business. We learned about the publishing end of it, and we even started our own record company, and we learned all about production. We were, I guess it's in the history books, that we were the first vocal group to produce a number 1 million-selling record for another vocal group, and that's the first record that we produced was He's So Fine by the Chiffons.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
and
then
that's
we went
the
on
tip
to
of the
produce
iceberg.
all the Chiffons hits, everything that you hear, all the hit records by the Chiffons, and the Happenings. We did all their records. We produced most of the records for Tony Orlando and Dawn. Brandy and the Rainbows, we produced that record, Denise. And when we were in the studio, when we weren't making records for ourselves as the Tokens, we were making records for all these unknown artists that we helped make them pretty big stars.
Did you miss being behind the mic on stage, or did you stay on stage during the time you were doing that?
We stopped the live performance because actually back in the 60s and 70s, there weren't that many opportunities for us to work. There weren't like today in the last 20 or 25 years, the 60s and 50s shows. They're all over the country and out of the country as well. So, back then there weren't that many places to work. So we were really concentrating on production. We did a lot of writing and performing radio and TV jingles, doing everything in the music business, but the performance really took a back seat back then.
Well, here's a question you've been asked probably tens of thousands of times, but your RIAA number 159 gold record in 1961, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, when you were recording that, did you know that was going to be a huge hit? Did you feel it in your heart when you were listening to the final mixdown?
Not really, no. Because it was so unusual when we recorded it. There was nothing like it out, at that time. And I would say that today there's still nothing out like that. The three other guys in the group were really hesitant about even having that record released. But
Really?
I thought it could have a shot. When RCA did put it out as a single, it only took 4 weeks for it to become a number one record in the United States, and then in the next 3 months it became a number one record in 36 countries all over the world. So, we were 4 kids from Brooklyn that were touring all over Europe. We would land in Madrid, Spain. Nobody would speak English, but everybody knew who we were, and they all knew The Lion Sleeps Tonight. It was pretty surreal back then, really surreal for us to be known all over the world.
Surreal is still today. We grew up with the song, then our kids grew up with the song, and now another generation as it went into the Broadway hit show The Lion King. So everybody knows it.
When the movie was such a huge success, RCA Victor re-released our record again 45 years later, and it became a worldwide hit for the second time in a row. And then, like I say on stage, we also attained a brand new audience of 5-year-old kids. There's no kid that doesn't know that song.
Did you go to see The Lion King?
Absolutely. I went to see that show on Broadway, and when that came on, I just the hair on my arm stood up. I said, wow, we really did make history, didn't we?
On the Tokens All-Time Hits CD that we're looking at now, you guys look absolutely wonderful, handsome.
A very good retouching in Photoshop.
Back then it was airbrushing, right?
Airbrushing, yeah.
No, it's Photoshop. What is in the future for the Tokens now? What's going on with you this year? Are you working a busy schedule?
We have concert bookings way into 2017, so I'm going to keep doing this, But they say, well, as long as I could still hit the high notes, I'll keep doing it. The shows and the performance, that's easy. That's fun. We love doing it. It's a pleasure to be on stage. We have a great time. The work is not the performance. The work is getting to the performance. When you have to go to the airports and go through the security lines and do this and do that, that's the work. Once you're there, it's great. But, so like I said, we work for free. Just pay us to get there.
Yeah. Do you work out?
Physically work out?
Sure.
Yeah, my wife and I, we make sure that we make a trip to the gym 3 or 4 times a week just to stay healthy. And I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah,
like I say, what's the greatest thing that you like about the gym? And I always say leaving.
You're going to be at the Richard Nader doo-wop reunion. You're one of the centerpieces there. What's most enjoyable about your band? You can tell you really, really sing. Compared to today's artists, there's no lip syncing when it comes to you guys.
No tracks, no tricks. It's just us live in the band, and what we try to do is we try to replicate those live performances exactly as close to the record. We don't get tired of doing these. Don't you get tired of doing The Lion Sleeps Tonight and Tonight? No. How could I? First of all, there's always people in the audience that have never, they've never seen it before.
Right.
And it's a thrill that people are still coming out and wanting to hear that. So we try to do it just like the record, and people tell me that we do.
Where were you when you first heard your song on the radio?
I think I was in my car or in my friend's car. I turned on the radio. I think it was WINS. At that time was the big top 40, 1010 wins. AM station, and I think we almost crashed the car when I heard it. We had to stop the car, pull it over, and wow, we're coming out of the car radio. That was like unbelievable.
Back then there was no social media. That was it. That little speaker in the car. That was the world.
Yeah, that was it. You're hearing your song on the radio. That was worth everything.
And unlike all the other groups, you didn't fade away after the Beatles hit, after the British invasion, because you had a huge one in 1967 with "Portrait of My Love."
Yeah, that was our third biggest record.
Yeah.
And that was also a hit in Europe as well, because it had that kind of melody. And when we do shows, a lot of the people in the audience, sometimes we do a meet and greet or sign autographs, they tell me that that's their favorite Tokens record.
Did you know Tony Orlando before he was in Dawn?
Oh yeah, sure. When we had Tonight I Fell in Love, we were on the road together when he had Bless You and Halfway to Paradise.
Right.
So we were friends back then, and I met Tony Orlando when I guess he was about 15 years old. And we still maintain a relationship today. In fact, he worked at Mohegan Sun about a year ago in the arena, and he brought me up on stage, and we did about 3 songs together. So we're great friends. Tony's a great guy and a great performer.
Very exciting.
He is.
Jay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As you know, WGHT always plays your music. You are a legend, and it's always an honor and a privilege to have you on the air.
Well,
and,
thank you very much for telling me that. Now, I am a legend. I can't believe that people say that because my wife just said to me, today is you have to take out the garbage. So, because they pick up the garbage on Wednesday, so the legend, as you say, just like you did, and you took out the garbage.
Recycling's tomorrow.
Actually, I say, I'm just like everybody else. I just have a different kind of job.
Jay Siegel, ladies and gentlemen, the Richard Nader doo-wop reunion coming up, and Jay will be there with the Tokens, going strong, up on stage, doing his thing. Jay, thank you for joining us this morning.
And, it was a pleasure to talk to both of you, and I hope I see you at the show.
Yes, God bless, Jay.
All right, thank you very much.
Always and forever. Take care, sir.
Bye-bye.